Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Let me adjust my camera. So, once again, we're going to be using the scientific method to include it in our science project for the science fair. I'm going to be walking you through step by step on how to set up your trifold. Remember, I'm probably also what I'm going to do is for every component that I put on the trifold, I'm going to take a picture of it. You can take that picture and upload it onto a Google slide if you wanted to just do slides. If you know a different way to do it, by all means you can, of course. But for now, let's just think back and remember that the scientific method consists of basically 5 steps. The first step is that you observe something that you're curious about, something that you have a question about, that you want to investigate or conduct an experiment on, right? Something that you'll have a question on. And that's the second step, your question. And then you're going to take a guess to what you think the answer to that question is, and that will be your hypothesis. Um, then you're going to have your experiment. You're going to conduct your experiment to see if test you're going to plan your experiment, and you're going to test your hypothesis. In other words, test if your guess is correct. The next thing you'll do is you're going to have your data. Your data is what you're going to get from the experiment. That's where you're going to record your results from your whatever you observed in the experiment and what happened. Based on what happened, you're going to explain what those results are in your conclusion. Okay, and that is the 5 steps to the scientific method. So here's the trifold. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, the way you read it, you're going to read it from left to right. So let me actually put it here, and I'm going to lower the camera a little bit so you can see the different. Gotta get used to going left to right. So this is the left side, and you work your way to the right. You read it from left to right. So you'll read this row first, then the center row, and then the right row. Column. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Now, like I said, I observed in this project, I was thinking about energy. I've seen people use lemons to create energy, and I thought about maybe potatoes. So my scientific method project is going to be based on potatoes, different potatoes. Let's see what that's like. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I have my question, right? My question is going to go here. So first thing, I have to have a question. Obviously, I observed the potatoes. Now I have a question. What is that question? A question that is going to lead my experiment. And here's my question. I put it right below there so I can get it straight. There we go. Okay. So which starch will generate the most electricity? Let's straighten it out. I think that's about as good as it gets. Then I have an answer to that question. Now, starch is a potato, right? Potatoes are starches. Rice is starch. Let me do it this way. Make it a little easier. I noticed that my titles, right? My titles are a little bit too big. So I'm gonna try to make it fit there. Probably won't be able to close it without folding the title, but that's okay. This is how you're gonna set it up. So you have your question and your answer to that question, your best guess. This is your educated guess, your hypothesis. Which starch will generate the most electricity? So I believe, because I'm doing this test on different potatoes, some of the potato family. I believe the yam will generate the most electricity because it's so big. All right. Now, you're going to notice on the trifold, we talked about 5 steps. The 5 steps to the scientific method will be on here. And in addition to that, you'll have some components that will help to give more information to inform the person who's looking at your project. Okay. So you should have a purpose, the reason why you're doing your experiment. So for me, like I said, long story short, my purpose is when I was looking for a science project, I thought of how lemons create electricity. Then I thought, since potatoes are bigger, what would happen if I use a potato instead? And so I wonder what would happen if I tested different. Then I wondered, right? If I tested different size potatoes, um, against the different sized potatoes in the potato family against each other, what would happen? So there goes your purpose. You're going to add it here. There you go. So let me go ahead and push that down so that the purpose is a little bit crooked. Let's see. All right. I think that's straight enough. I like things to be straight. See? Not bad, right? Let me try to give you a good view. I'll go here. There it goes. Okay. So now I'm going to the next column. That's the center. And this is where you'll have your experiment. But let's not forget our title, right? Here's the title. So you can see I titled it Starch Batteries That Will Change the World of Tomorrow, right? By Mr. Rivera. And you'll have your name here. Your title. That way everybody knows that you are the one that set up this project. All right. So I got my title there. Just show you quickly. Okay. Right in the center. Now, the next thing is my procedure. So what steps did I take, right, in my experiment? My procedure. I gathered all my materials. I placed first the starch on a flat surface. And then I placed the galvanized screws in the starch, placed the copper starch 1 inch from the screw. So this is all the instructions, the procedures, all the steps I took in my experiment. So this is my experiment in essence. Let's see. And once again, if you can call it research or experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like. Let's get the procedure right up here. Okay. So I just want to show you before I put the, okay. So this is my procedure. These are the steps, and this is the research or experiment, right? And you'll see down here, I'll have like a picture of the potatoes. That is my experiment. I use all different types of potatoes, and I made a list of all those potatoes there. I even gave an illustration, and you'll see that shortly. Okay. Okay, just so you can watch every step of the way. There goes the procedures, all the different steps on my research or experiment, either or. So like I said, in my research, I researched Yukon Gold potatoes, sweet potatoes, yam, red potatoes, russet potatoes, a piece of copper wire, was part of, the research that I had to use. So these are kind of like materials as well. A galvanized screw and a voltage meter. That's how I was able to measure the voltage for each potato. So now I'm putting the pictures up. These are the potatoes. And let me pull this out because I already put the other one on there. Those were the potatoes, and these are the screws. The screw and the copper wire that I used. Okay. So let me go ahead and add that to my board. I'll show you in a second what that looks like. Looks like when I fold it, it's gonna fold over my potatoes, but that's okay. Okay. How's that? Hey, it's coming along. Really simple. You just gotta think of your question, right? You have your hypothesis, purpose, the steps, your procedure, right? Your research is on the potatoes. That's what you're researching, right? And I just, usually you can have a separate title if you have more room on your board or you just want to add it on the slide. And you don't have to add your material here, but you can just title it material and then research, right? But I'll just put everything together for the sake of space that I'm limited to. Okay, once you do your research, right, or experiment, you're gonna get data. You'll be getting data, and that's gonna begin on the far right of your board. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the data. The very top, like the center of these things, really, it looks really nice when you center everything and everything is straight. So here's the data. Let me move my camera. There you go. So that's the data. Let me work this on this side. Now I'll show you the data that I got. Kind of drew what it is. So what I found out is that the YAM gave me 0.721 voltage. I just drew it because I don't have the meter with me. Again, this was research. Next, I'm going to provide the results, right? Okay. So this is the data that I received. And I want to add too, you can add if you know how to make a chart, like a bar chart, you can put a bar chart here with the data. Okay, I decided to just go with a drawing to make it easier because not everybody knows how to create a bar chart online, or you can draw it. Okay. My results were Yukon Gold Potato had the highest voltage and the most electricity. I forgot the N in Yukon. I'll fix that in a second. Then make sure you read it out loud. Read it to yourself before you decide to post it. Yeah, it's missing an N right there. It's a Yukon potato, gold potato. Then our conclusion. Here we go. This is the very end. And it looks like it gets in the way of me closing the trifold as well. Let me straighten that out. Give me 1 second. Straighten that out. It looks like the tape is sort of wrinkling the paper. There we go. Okay. Voila. It is done. And lastly, it's at our conclusion. So the conclusion is I concluded from this experiment that the Yukon Gold Potato conducted the most voltage. Now, boys and girls, young scientists, my hypothesis, I believe that the YAM, because of its size, was going to give me the most voltage, but it wasn't. And as you can see, our board is complete. See if you can get a good look at it. Gotta get it straight. See there. So your board can look very close to this, exactly like this. There's different options online. As long as you include the scientific method in your project, it will be just right. Okay. So you have to have your question, your hypothesis. You have to have your experiment and your data over here. You'll get a result and your conclusion, either proving your hypothesis is correct or proving that your hypothesis was not correct. And that's what scientists do. They go ahead and they use the scientific method to get more information and conduct research and experiments. That way it's in order and it makes sense. So I hope you really understood how to do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. That is what you need to do. So this is going to be posted, obviously in the Nearpod, but it's also going to be posted in the video link will be posted in the Google Classroom. Most likely it'll be in quick links with the other like with the flyer and the projects that you get to choose from. So I'll see you next time.